Our guest is former running back Maurice Clarett, and this segment brought to you by the Harmony Foundation. Go to harmonyfoundationinc.com for more info. Maurice, I don't mean to paint a broad brush here, but I think the question needs to be asked. Is there something about a young man in his 20s, a football player, with money in his pocket, a feeling of invincibility, a feeling of invulnerability that allows an Aaron Hernandez to think he can get away with something like that, to allow a Maurice Clarett to think you can get away with some of the things that you ended up in prison for, the aggravated robbery and the physical confrontation with the cops? Or is it just an individual circumstance here?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't paint everybody like that because most guys don't feel that way. There's a lot of success stories. There's a lot of guys. But what we're specifically talking about, you're talking about an instance, and I'm talking about a mentality, and a mentality that's bred over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm talking about dealing with that and growing the mentality and educating these guys. You know what I'm saying? When you just understand, when you go on the process of self-discovery, you understand your mind. You understand what it is to be a man. You understand how these things look in action. Then you're able to make more responsible decisions. Your level of consciousness is a lot clearer than it was at 18 or 19 or when you were kind of loafing around your neighborhood. But what happens in a lot of cases, and I want you to kind of dissect what I'm saying to you, so much we go through the process of athletics, right? And the favorite word for all these coaches is what? Hey, Maurice, play the game. Hey, Aaron, play the game. Hey, such and such, play the game. And when you're playing the game and you're acting, you're not really discovering how to use your mental faculties. You're not understanding how to problem solve. And for so long, we get pushed through a system like that, right? And after you're pushed through the system and you remain eligible and you go out here and make all this money, and now you have so much power, all the things that come to your mind you can do, but you're not really conscious of the consequences of everything. You know what I'm saying? So you do things loosely, not really understanding. And like when I did a study on myself, I'm not talking about anybody else, I just wasn't as conscious as to how things could play out. I wasn't conscious as to what I meant to other people. I wasn't even as conscious as I was as popular as I was. You know what I'm saying? I was just functioning like this individual who had grew up in a neighborhood. And it's not like that. That's the same thing like, hey, this guy has a thug mentality. Why does he have this thug mentality, and what can we do with all these people in higher education and all these resources that we have in our life? What can we do to attack this thing? Because we're all influenced. Guys are influenced by some of the same things. You know what I'm saying? I kind of lost my train of thought right there, but I hope you can get the gist of what I was saying.
Yeah, sure. Mike Shanahan gave you another opportunity. You came to Denver. It didn't work out, if I remember correctly, and it's gone back for a while. You really weren't in great physical shape at that point to really be in a competitive situation to make the team. Then you got into more trouble. At what point, you said the education you got in prison, and I assume that you're talking about self-education. I'm not talking about the guys bringing sieves into the dining room.
No, he actually worked towards a degree at Ohio University while he was in jail.
Sure. Yeah. What made you have the decision? What woke you up? I mean, was it a hammer to your own head from your own hand? Or, I mean, why did you finally say, I got to get it, or I'm going to end up like not
Aaron
at that time, but or Aaron Hernandez or a lot of the other players that have ended up in jail?
Yeah. No. So what happened was that football was no longer an option. And I understood where I wanted to get in life, and it was this simple. It wasn't that I hated reading. I just was not interested in what was presented to me in college. I never discovered what it was that I wanted to become. So when I went to prison, I was like, hey, you want to get out of prison. You have a daughter. She's my fiance now, but at the time you have a girlfriend. You need to fix this thing because basically I didn't like how I was living or the consequence of the situation. And so from there, I was like, hey, and please put this in context. When I would sell drugs, I used to hustle before, right? I understood that in the purest form that was basically entrepreneurship, right? And so I said, how can I use a skill set that I have or the skill to sell things, to buy and sell things? How can this thing be utilized in real life? And from there, I went on like the self-discovery thing. I read about economics, micro and macro. I read everything about finance. And I really got attached to Warren Buffett because he was like the greatest investor. He still is one of the greatest investors of our time. And reading so much of his material and reading from Benjamin Graham, the Intelligent Investor, and really just doing book reports on the stuff and reading so many magazines on a bunch of finances and stuff, like basically my life had changed and transformed. And I realized that I can take care of myself outside of football. And I gained the confidence, right? And I'm pretty sure that if you teach these guys on who they can become and get to where they want to get to in life, outside of the confines of football, that behavior changes. You know what I'm saying? You're not chasing his dream for 30 and 40 years, and you're not just dependent upon this one vehicle and sort of foreclosing on all your academic opportunities and personal development. You'll start to realize you need different sets of skills to become a professional in society, and that's more or less, that's just what I did. There wasn't anything special. I just found out that, hey, I can become who I want to become and make the money I want to make. Like right now, I'm in the packaging industry and the industrial cleaning industry, and I own a few rental properties. You know what I'm saying? And I do a bunch of speaking on the side, but I've created income for myself, and I've made more money doing business than playing football. And and it's just to understand that these guys have the same ability, but understanding that you have to grow as an individual in order to tap into some of these opportunities.
Well, Maurice, we're sorry we never got to see you carry the ball for the Denver Broncos. We're very happy, however, that you've become a better person and a solid contributor to society. And thanks for joining us this morning.
I tell you, thank you for having me, and it's my hope that some educator or somebody who are in charge of these athletes start to challenge them more, man, just to discover who they are outside of the helmet.
All right. Thanks, Maurice. And we do understand what you're saying on your Twitter handle, all right?
All right.
All right. Thanks, man. Maurice Clarett.